You're listening to the Pool Builder Marketing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping your service-based business grow and thrive using the latest technology in internet marketing. And now, here's the host of our show and the CEO of Grow Inc., Matt Law.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. We are super glad that you are listening. We got a two-part series. We're going to publish both of these at the same time. I think you're going to find it super helpful. And today I'm going to be talking about lead generation. If you are a service business and you're like, man, Matt, if I could just get more leads, that would solve all my problems. You're going to find this episode and the next one very, very helpful. Give you a little bit of a backstory about me and my experience generating leads. I've been doing Google Ads since 2001 for my service company. And back in those days when clicks just cost a few cents, I mean, we were making money and selling mortgages. Back then, we owned a correspondent lending company and generated a lot of revenue from Google Ads. In 2007, I opened my first marketing agency after going through some hard times when our mortgage business closed in 2007. And I had done so much online marketing to scale our mortgage business that I opened my first agency, and I've owned agencies for the last 20 years. During that time, I probably spent well over $100 million in managed advertising dollars in Google Ads, e-commerce companies, home service businesses, all kinds of different clients. Of course, now we only focus on home service businesses, but we still manage tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in paid ads for our clients. In Meta, I started in 2011. Personally, I've spent probably more than $500,000 on marketing on those channels. For lead gen, and for our clients, we still manage a ton of money on that. Probably generated somewhere over 100,000 leads. It's probably more, but I thought of just a few clients that I know of. That's how many leads we've generated. So I know a lot about lead generation and conversion. And so I'm kind of telling you like my background in it, so you can kind of hopefully take what I share with you a little bit, I guess more serious because of my experience in that. I'm going to try to make this a no fluff, no bull, no hype episode where I just share with you what we've tried, what we've done, what worked, what didn't work. And if I were in your situation, what I would do, and not a pitch to get you to work with us or anybody, but just really tell you what worked. So before we ever launch a new marketing package or a new offering, we always try it internally. And so we always have been building landing pages that convert for our clients. So we drive Google Ads to our clients' websites. There's like a schedule button on the top or a call button right at the top. There is a form on every page so they can generate a lead. We try to make it very easy, address autocomplete on the forms. There's just a lot of good marketing that we do on the clients' websites. On their Google Ads, we try to make sure they have a good high quality score. And if you go back and listen to the first 12 episodes of our podcast, you'll hear like the blueprint for growth. So we always do that for our clients. But recently we had this question. We're like, what about the guy who does not have the money to invest in a marketing package? Maybe he just wants leads, and maybe he wants to generate a few leads. And if he closes them, then he would want to, work with us in a growth package. And so we just kind of started thinking through an idea of, could we build a lead generation package with custom landing pages, a CRM, measurable marketing, and paid advertising, so a company could grow? And could they spend $2,000-$3,000 a month, generate leads, generate revenues, and then begin their process of growth? And so I'm going to walk you through that package of what we built, what we did, and also what we've implemented for our clients now. So our growth clients, they sign up on contracts, and we come up with a custom marketing strategy, which will have meta ads, retargeting. We'll have all the stuff I'm going to talk about. But what I'm talking about in today's episode was a custom package that we built just for lead generation. So here's what I'll tell you. For our existing clients, they're generating a lot of leads, right? There's automation following up. Everything is measurable. They're using our CRM. They're using AI. They're using all of this stuff. And so they generate a ton of leads. And so I figured this is going to work great for a new company that is just coming to us and saying, Matt, hey, I want leads. Now, I'll give you an example. So we have one client in Oklahoma. I talked to them yesterday. They're having a killer year. They're up by about 100% this year over last year. And they're going to have like the guy told me yesterday, a record year, and have generated a ton of leads and appointments through this formula that I'm going to give you today. And really, it's driven through AI. It's driven through measured ads. It's Meta. It's local service ads. It's Google ads. It's a paid campaign. They also have a lot of organic leads that they get as well from local SEO and from other channels. And they do email marketing, social media. They've got a whole marketing package. But a lot of their leads are coming through the paid channels that we have set up. And so we created a new package just to say, hey, could a client or a company come to us with a terrible website with not much strength in marketing at all? And could we do a paid lead campaign and help them generate leads and revenues? And would it work for a new client? And the answer is yes. I was just in an account yesterday and it worked great. They got a bunch of leads and it's cool. We've got a couple more that are onboarding that we are testing out on this product. And so I feel comfortable with that. But I'm going to share with you why, if I were you and I were looking to grow my company, why I would not buy a lead generation campaign, because there were some things over the last couple months that we really learned that kept a company from really winning big. And it's because there was other areas of their marketing they had gaps in. And so I know if you are scrolling on social media, you see ad after ad. Hey, we generate this many leads for this industry, pay us afterwards, and all of this. And you see, hey, we'll do this much. We exclusive leads for your industry. And you see that. And it seems like almost too good to be true. And maybe you've reached out to some people like that or talked through lead generation campaigns for paid ads, and they want you to spend X amount of dollars per month and ads and all of that. And maybe you've tried it and it didn't work. Well, why it probably didn't work is it's not including all the things I'm going to share with you that you need to have in a lead generation campaign. So first of all, as I go through this 2-part podcast, you're going to be like, Matt, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. They didn't do that. And you'll see why it did not work, number one. And then number two, these companies are actually making money not by client retention, but they are actually making money by setup fees. And so we have a newer client. They are in the fence business or the fence building industry. And what's interesting is that we were doing all of their pay-per-click, their Google ads, and they're like, hey, there's a company that specializes in fence leads on Meta. And so keep in mind, right, we really know Meta well, all right? We know it really well with the ad channels. And we're like, okay. And so we're on the call. I wasn't, but my business partner, Jeff, was. And he's like, Matt, you should see the setup is terrible. And they charge a $3,800 setup fee. Well, now this has been 3 or 4 months past, and they generated leads and appointments. All the leads were through form fills. They were all bogus, garbage. When they had appointments, the people would drive an hour to get to the appointment. No confirmation emails, no confirmation texts. They'd knock on the door. No one answered. They basically closed 0 deals. And the way this company made money was they made big guarantees, $3,800 setup fee. And then the client paid a couple of more months. They probably, the marketing agency walked away with $7,000. Very, very minimal setup. The only thing they did was generate leads through form fills, 5 AI generated ads, and they sent them the leads on Slack. Now, if you've heard of something like this or you've experienced something like this, it's rough. That's a lot of money for a company to invest to get 0 return. And so you're going to find at the end of podcast number 2, I'm going to tell you, you don't need leads, you need you need to have a system in place. So in this two-part series, we're going to share with you exactly what we've been doing, what has worked beautifully, and why, even though we're generating a ton of leads, we still don't suggest this package, like a pure lead gen package, because there's other things that you need to have. Lead generation is part of it, but I'm going to talk to you about what we put into like our Kickstarter packages, into all of our growth packages, because this lead gen stuff is part of it, but you need more than just leads to win with your business. So this, again, a two-part series, and we're excited to share with you today. So this is the 4 key areas we're going to cover in these two-part podcast series. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the paid ad channels. We're going to talk about Meta ads, LSA, and Google ads. I'm going to talk about a couple other ad channels as well. Let's talk about Angie's and shared leads as well. And then I'm going to talk to you about landing pages that convert. So you cannot do Google ads without having some sort of landing page. And so if you're doing Google ads, you have to drive that traffic over to a page. Now, understand you can do a call extension where people can call you. And that's definitely what we want to do. We want to help you get calls on that, but you have to have a landing page. So part of our setup, I'll talk to you about websites that convert, and I'll talk to you about landing pages. And again, no sales pitch, no pressure. I'm trying to educate you from not making a mistake if you're trying to generate leads based on all of the history I have, all the clients that we have on paid lead channels, and all of my experience. I hope you'll find it incredibly valuable. Now, in our next episode, we are going to talk about having marketing automation that follows up. And I'm going to share this episode at the same time as I publish this one. So we're going to talk about follow-up. We're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about AI, marketing automation to follow up with a lead after you generate it. We're going to talk about phone systems as well, how you can capture, leads at night and when you're on the other line, all of those things. So you'll find that helpful. And then we're going to talk about measurable marketing and how you can measure your marketing to see what's working and what's not. I'm going to give you my opinion on Meta ads, Google ads, and LSA, and all of these channels based on some real numbers that we've run. You're going to get a ton out of that. And I'm going to share with you why, if I were you, why I would not buy just leads and the trap that I think business owners fall into. So maybe not the most popular opinion with business owners, because sometimes I'll meet business owners that think they just need leads and they have all their eggs in one basket. And then when that basket dries up, then they're left with nothing, and they are basically competing in a very, very competitive paid space. And so I'm going to share with you my view based on me looking at return on ad spend, which is also called ROAS, for multiple clients, and tell you where most of their profit comes from. And so again, you can take it for what it's worth. I'm a guy that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars personally on Meta, managed more than $1 million in Google ads, and generated hundreds of thousands of leads. So let's get started, and we're going to start off talking about paid ads, and channel number 1 is Google ads. So with Google ads, there's multiple different types of campaigns that you can run. But usually when we do Google ads for our clients, they get a 10-to-1 minimum return on ad spend. And so how you figure this out is you figure out how many deals you've generated from Google ads, and you have to set up the measuring the right way. And once you see all of the revenues you generate, you figure out how much you have spent. And then with that calculation, you can figure out the return on ad spend. So if you spent this much on ads and you generated, 10x that, your return on ad spend is 10. And so usually a client will get at least 10 on Google ads. And there's about 4 different campaigns that we run on these. Number 1 is a search ad, which is a traditional Google search campaign. This is where you are focusing just on search. We leave out the content delivery network out, so we don't target spammy clicks on somebody's website. We focus only on search. The other type of campaigns we do is performance max, also called PMax campaigns, and we let the AI kind of do that. But we especially use those for clients that have a local store presence where we can put driving directions as a goal. And what it will do is it will show them often in the maps section. We will do remarketing ads on all the channels based on a custom audience for people visiting the website. And then we will also run YouTube ads in a very tight area with the maximum exposure to a certain audience for usually homeowners and things like that. So there's a lot with Google Ads that go into a setup for that. But I'm going to tell you the 4 things that you really need to make sure you are doing and why our Google ad campaigns, I feel like, work really well. Number 1, Google will throw in a bunch of keywords into your search terms, and they will say, hey, it's close enough, we're adding it, and you can't do anything about it except for add negative keywords. And so we go in and we add all the competitors as negative keywords. We add all the parts as negative keywords. If there's parts in your industry or people are looking for something, we want to eliminate all of those keywords and add them as negative so that you're left showing only for the searches you really want to show up for. It's hard to even explain how much work this is to manage negative keywords, but Google keeps adding more close variants, it will say, and you have to add negative keywords. So if you set up a Google ad campaign and you did not add negative keywords, you probably got slaughtered, okay? Because Google would blow your money on, this. I'll give you an example. I was looking at a Google ad campaign for one of our clients, and somebody typed in Acme in whatever type of industry it was. It was like Acme garage doors or something. And I looked, and because we didn't have Acme as a negative keyword yet into the account, now we do, right? That click cost the client $45. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so, yeah, you have to stay on top of your negative keywords. And it's a terrible thing that Google does. And you'll hear in my voice, my love for Google is minimal. Now, even though our clients are getting a 10-to-1 return on ad spend, which is fantastic, if you don't manage your Google ad account right, you're going to get beat up. Number 2, besides the negative keywords, another thing to look at is the geo-targeting. So the client I was just talking to, there's another company with the same name in Texas. Well, they're in North Carolina. So guess what? They were getting Google ad clicks from Texas that were looking for their name. So in the negative keyword list, you should have your company name because they're looking for you anyway. You don't want to spend money on a click from them searching for you. So you also need to target a very tight geo-targeting radius. So what we do is we only target people in that area that they're in. So there's a little setting in Google Ads that says also target people interested. Well, guess what? There's people in India interested in your location that want to sell you SEO. So you got to have that little thing toggled on, that little setting. And then the other thing you have to do is we block every other area. So we put them, every other state, every other area besides the one we're targeting, we block so that it's impossible for them to click in. So you have to have negative keywords. You got to have the right geographic settings on there. And then you got to make sure you're measuring all your conversions. So when people fill out a form, that has to be a conversion, right? When people call on your tracking number, that has to be a conversion. The other thing that you want to do when in your conversion goals, when people schedule on your calendar, when they fill out a quote form, that data has to be sent to Google as a conversion, so Google will continue to find what you want. When you start off a campaign, your cost per lead is going to be higher. It should go down if it's continued to be optimized and managed well. It takes a lot of more work than people realize, but setting up those 3 settings will save you a ton of time and money and in the long run, because eventually the campaign will be helpful and be a constant revenue stream for you. One thing I will give you a big heads up on is if you are running Google Ads now, do not talk to the Google staff. There are salespeople, and their number one goal is not to help you set up your account the right way. They may do some of that. Their goal is to get you to spend more money. They are paid sales, commission sales, and their goal is to help you spend more money. Whenever we take on a new client, I say, don't talk to them, hang up on them. they email us, and you can't even unsubscribe. I just mark them as spam. It's unbelievable how annoying they are. I was on a conversation not too long ago, and she's like, "Well, how long have you been doing Google Ads?" And I'm like, "Well, since 2001." And she paused for a second and said, uh, "I was not even alive then." And it's pretty funny is like this is Google, right? You take a company generating billions and billions of dollars in revenue, and then all of a sudden here comes TikTok ads and here comes Meta ads, and Google's revenue doesn't go down even though billions and billions of dollars went somewhere else. No, they just raised their prices and made it harder for a business owner to win. You don't want to follow all of Google's settings because their goal is to get the most money from you while keeping you as a client. But if you've tried Google Ads and you didn't have your settings set up the right way, that's probably why your campaign did not work. Next, we'll talk about Meta ads. I'm not going to talk about this for very long because you're going to hear that Google Ads does generate a much higher quality lead. Cost per lead is more, but the quality of lead is so much better. But with Meta, there's a couple different campaigns that you can try. You can try to do traffic, right? And so we've tried some traffic campaigns where you try to get clicks over to your website. What we found with the traffic type of clicks is you'll get traffic, but the quality is not as good. The other one is form fills. This is where they can click on a button and an instant form pops up and they can just automatically submit their information. We find even though people are requesting information, they really, if they are doing that on your website, they are probably doing that on 10 other people's websites as well. Again, so you think they're exclusive leads, but they may not be because they're sharing their information with other people as well. Lower quality leads as well. There is remarketing campaigns. Now, this is where I would spend money. Remarketing campaigns is say they come to your website from Google or from local or from SEO or whatever, from anything. Now you can remarket to them, and the goal is to make that an exposure campaign where they see your ads as many times as possible. So when I look at some of our remarketing campaigns, people will go to one of our clients' websites or a page on their website and they'll see their ad. I was looking at one yesterday. They saw the ad on average 60 times. Powerful. And that's how you can stay in front of your audience. You can also upload your entire customer list to Google and to Meta. So maybe you got 20,000 customers in your past, right? Depending on your business, and you can stay in front of them. But even if you upload 500 people, you can stay in front of those people over and over again to get referrals and just, to continue to service them. There's also comment campaigns where people can comment, and then you can use what is called ManyChat, which is an AI plugin to start that conversation. You can try to get them to message you through there. There's a few different ones, but here's the thing. You need to test which works best for your leads, and ultimately you can figure out your return on ad spend. Now with Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook, the most important thing now is your copy, right? So you got to have really strong copy. You got to have a really strong offer. You got to really interrupt the person scrolling so that they listen to what you have to say. This new Andromeda update, it's all about your creative. So what's great is you can really pinpoint target people in your area by just your ads and people that are interested in your service based on your creative. But one thing I will tell you is that if you don't have follow-up in place with Google Ads, lead gen, or with Meta, you're already in big trouble because you're going to generate leads and then they're going to die in the vine. And so you'll see in our next episode, we're going to talk about follow-up in place. The third paid ad channel that I want to talk about, and these are people really calling you, and so you don't necessarily have to have follow-up in place for these. This is Google local service ads. And so the whole platform is kind of janky, right? This is a pay-per-lead system, and we always suggest that our clients do calls and not the forms. But with Google local service ads, also previously called Google Guaranteed, you have to upload that you were a verified contractor. And then what I see a lot of clients do wrong when I get into their LSA account is they are targeting too big of a zip code. And you really want to exclude areas you don't want to go in that maybe don't have like the homes you want to work in or people. I really suggest you really optimize every aspect of this. There's a setting on there that if you don't have it unchecked, they will show your local service ad when people are searching for your name. Again, a total waste. I see a lot of people mess up on their budget. They just open it all up. We had a client that was paying $300 per lead, and we changed it to I'm like, you leave it wide open to Google. Yeah, they're going to give you more leads, but they're charging you 300. We changed it to 150. They got almost as many leads for half the price. So you got to look at the budgeting, cost per lead, cost per call. I've got some clients that it's $25 a call. So it depends on your region, your industry, and how competitive it is. So it's one of those things that local service ads works really well. Another thing I'll tell you is you got to make sure you don't optimize for every type of service. So you really want to do your most profitable services, but you have to keep in mind some of those smaller services that people may click on may generate a big dollar deal as well, and the cost per lead is less. Again, for local service ads, don't do forms, just do calls. In our system, we have a really cool application that we use that has API, and what it does is all of those leads, all of those calls, it will go into the CRM and look for them, and if they exist, it will add the tag of where they came from so we can measure the return on ad spend for LSA, for local service ads. Things that you probably don't know is that you have to go in and rate your leads. Our automated tool rates them based on an AI transcript of the call. And you being active in the account and rating them and moving them along that janky CRM, if you'll call it, actually helps you get more leads. So those 3 ad channels, Google local service ads, what I'll tell you is we are seeing usually a 10-to-1 return on ad spend. Google ads done the right way, in which we got more to talk about, 10-to-1. So that means if you spend $1, you'll get back 10. And so you have to look at this based on your margins and all of that. If you were to spend $10,000 in ads with the right channels and the right settings, you would get back $100,000 in revenue. All right, there's other expenses to this, so I'm going to get into that. But this is what we see in ad spend. So once you know your return on ad spend, your ROAS, then you can scale. Now, what I'll tell you is I do not see that strong of ROAS or return on ad spend with meta ads. I see a higher volume of leads, and you get a lot more leads, right? But they could be lower quality. The way Meta, I think, works really, really well is to target that right audience over and over again. And so when they're ready to buy, they reach out. So it depends on your ticket, depends on what you're selling. There's a lot of things to consider in here, but it's great for lead gen as well. But you've got to figure out the return on ad spend. Now, we start off usually with always those 3, but there are other channels as well. So there is the Microsoft network, which is Bing and Yahoo, which is going to get people that are using the default browser, right? Or people that are, they hate Google or rebellious to Google. So they're using Bing and Yahoo, these older Microsoft searches, whatever comes with Windows computers. They're using the default browser. And so you can run ads on there, but I will tell you there's a lot of bots in there, and you have to go in and turn off all of the settings so that your ads don't show in the content network, because there's bots clicking to make money there. So it could be a mess, but it's a channel that's worth testing as well. Chat GPT ads. This is new. It just came out. And so people are going to be running ads on Chat GPT. You're going to see that on your account. Nextdoor ads. This is cool. We use Nextdoor ads for some clients, and it targets a specific city. So what I would tell you is do a very small geographic area that you serve and set your bid, and it provides a good return on ad spend. Not as good as the other channels, but it's good. Angie leads and Thumbtack leads, you can, and I'll tell you, all of your Microsoft leads and your ChatGPT leads and your Nextdoor ads, you're going to drive them to your website. Those are going to all flow from your landing page into your CRM, right? But Angie leads and Thumbtack leads are shared leads, and you're basically buying that lead in a marketplace. And you can pipe those into your CRM through webhooks. You have to reach out to your Angie, provider, or your Thumbtack. It's actually built into the interface, but you can push those leads from there right into your CRM, and then you can do follow-up with them. So if you're buying these other paid ad channels, make sure they're going into your CRM. It's important to note that the shared leads, when we've measured the ROAS on the shared leads, it's not as strong. And so because the closing rate is so much lower because they're not exclusive, right? And so because they're not exclusive and they're shared, you're not going to close as many. And so the last time I looked at a Angie one, it was like 6-1. So for every $1 they spent, they got $6 back. To me, there's better channels, and so they should move it. So all of the channels are a little different, right? And there's always going to be more paid ad channels out there, right? There's always more areas that you can test, right? But the secret is you have to measure your marketing. I talk about this in our book, Measure and Leverage the Marketing Arsenal. If you don't measure it, you're not going to know what's working. And so here's how it works is like every click on an ad has UTM data, urgent tracking module, which is the UTM source, which would be like Google, UTM medium, like PPC, UTM campaign, and that's the name of the campaign. You can add some other things as well, but those are the three we track. That's passed on to the website. It's stored into a cookie on the landing page. And then when they fill out that form or they book on your calendar, you know where every lead comes from. So if you're just doing some lead gen campaign out there and you don't know where these leads are coming from, it's because your marketing isn't measurable. So you have to know which one works, you need data. And you need all of those leads to come in. And where do we get those? And then you, at the end of a quarter, you process the report, you figure out which one has the best return on ad spend. I will tell you the highest intent is Google Ads. Those are people looking for you now. Local service ads, Google Ads, like anything where people are searching for something, would maybe be a ChatGPT ad or a Microsoft ad. Those are going to be the highest intent, highest quality, most expensive leads. Lower ones, you're kind of interrupting them as they scroll, which would be Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook. It's going to be next door, right? Shared leads. Those are going to be lower intent, lower quality. You're interrupting them when they are scrolling. You can get a lot of Meta leads and they're cheaper, but leads don't equal revenues, okay? And so we've been doing paid ads for clients for years, right? A long time. Millions of dollars in ads, 100,000 leads generated. It works, but it costs a lot of money. But if you don't know your return on ad spend, it's really hard for you to spend money. And so you're like, your mindset is probably this, I don't have $5,000 to spend on ads. Well, you don't have $5,000 to spend on ads if it doesn't work. And the problem is when you start off on a paid ad campaign, sometimes it takes a few months to get it working the right way. And so you're like, Matt, I can't spend that money. But if you knew based on the data that every time you spend $1, you got 10 back, even though it may take 3 or 4 months, would you do it? And so there lies the problem, is because you don't know if it's going to work, you won't spend it, right? And to get to where you know it's working, you have to spend this. There's this struggle. And so we get that. Google wants you to spend more. Meta wants you to spend more. And there's all these marketers out there. Hey, we guarantee this many leads, but that doesn't equal return revenue. And so for small business owners and for any business owner, they should be measuring every dollar that goes out and what the return is on it. And so what I will tell you is if you've bought one of these like lead gen campaigns and you didn't measure it and you didn't figure out your return on ad spend, I mean, that's why you felt like, gosh, I don't even know if it's working. But when a company does measure their marketing and they do have some extra capital to invest in this test, right, or this launch, and then they realize, okay, all right, I just spent this, I got this much back, then they can decide if it's worth it. And then the other thing you do is you say, hey, let's reallocate from this channel to this channel. We do that all of the time. And so again, cost per lead, all of that doesn't really matter. What matters is, and you can track all that, but what matters is your return on ad spend. You'll never know that if you don't measure. Now, ads are important, right? You got to set them up the right way. But it's not the only thing that matters. So if you don't have a great landing page, right? If you don't have a website that converts, the only place you can really advertise is on local service ads, and that's on calls. But the thing is, they're still going to look you up, right? They're going to still check you out to see who you are, right? So if your website stinks, that's not good. Meta ads is the only place you can advertise if your website stinks, and it's just the way it is. So for our traditional clients, we build amazing websites. It's a big part of their build out. So there's forms on every page. There's buttons to schedule text or call at the top. Super mobile friendly, UTM data on there, video, forms, USP content all over. And so they convert well, especially if the client has a great brand, right? But with our magnetic leads tests, we wanted to build really high quality landing pages to convert. So we said, hey, what if a client has a bad website? We could just use our landing pages. And here's what we found. The landing page isn't enough. So, and let me explain this, all right? With Google LSA, again, no website needed, they're going to call you. But if a company's reviews stink, right? So say your reviews are 4.5 and you run a local service ad, you are actually not going to get a lot of calls because your reviews stink compared to your competitors. So we were like, okay, this person wants to work with us, but their reviews are bad, which is a red flag for us anyway, because it means they're not treating their customers well, and they're not, obviously not trying to make things right when they do a project. That's a personal issue or a leadership issue. We look at that. So a company with bad reviews can't do LSA, right? They just can't. No one's going to call them, right? So it's important that their reviews are. But we also put reviews on website landing pages. And so if their reviews stink, right, that also is a flag. And if they generate the lead and the reviews are still bad, all right, people are going to look them up before they actually sign the contract, so they have a lower closing rate. Yeah, I can't tell you how important reviews are. And so we had to start building into what we do for all of our clients into this lead generation package, a review system, so that every deal they close, they could ask for a review. So you can't remove bad reviews, but you can offset them by getting more. So the website matters, but then what about reviews? And so we're like, okay, we got to figure that out. And so Google Ads, they go to a custom landing page, all right? And we're building out these landing pages and the squeeze pages, and we put pictures of before and afters, all of their reviews, and everything else that we know that will convert. But people are skeptical, right? And what a lot of times people will do is if they're going to a really thin content page that's all about conversion, they call it squeeze pages in marketing, they're going to go back and they're going to look up your company name. And then what they are going to do is they're going to see your reviews and they're going to look at your Google profile, and then they're going to click over and they're going to go to your website. Now, if your website stinks and we're building just a landing page, or if your agency is just building a landing page to drive traffic to from Google or Meta, it's going to look totally different because our landing pages were awesome, but your website may stink. And they're also going to look at your visitors. And Meta visitors actually will click over to your site, but they are also going to do the same thing before they give up their information. They're going to look you up online or do an AI review, right? And they're going to do all of this. So here's what I want to explain to you about landing pages and why, if you have tried lead gen campaigns and your website stunk, why it probably didn't work. Okay. And just because a company puts out ads and landing pages and they measure every channel, right? It doesn't mean that they're going to be successful. You see thousands of companies on Meta are targeting you based on your interests. And so what we have found is that a good landing page with a company with bad reviews doesn't work, because they're going to look up the reviews. A good landing page and good ad setup without a owner who believes in what they do and is willing to guarantee their work or it doesn't work. A business owner that just wants a bunch of leads but doesn't understand the ecosystem of business, their marketing just doesn't work as well. And over the last few months, our team has been talking a lot about like which clients are going to crush, which clients are not, and the difference maker, right? And the marketing has to be good is the business owner. And let me explain this. If you are not passionate about what you do and your product in your business model and in your vision, it shows. And you think, well, it's all about getting the leads, and the only thing you care about is leads and money. It shows to the customer. If a business owner doesn't care about the customer, it shows. It shows in their reviews, but it also shows in their marketing. And I'm going to explain this now. Here's what we found out. If we're in the days of AI, right? It's everywhere. You see the AI videos everywhere. You go to a website and it's faceless. It's empty. It's a pretty website, but it's not people centered. It's not about people. Here's what I found out. If a business owner is willing to be on camera on their, and we put a video of them and they're passionate, I'm not talking about them being great speakers, right? If they're on the camera and they talk about why you should request a quote with us, the leads are better because people buy into a person before they buy into a business. All right. Even if you have a well-spoken staff member, right, and they are on the website and they share your landing page, your unique selling points, here's what we do, here's how we're different, that converts better than anything. If they know what the next steps are, if it's really, really clear. And with the world of AI all around us, and it's coming faster and faster, right? People don't care about your ad. They don't care about your company. They really don't even care about you. They care about what's in it for them. And companies that think through their unique selling points and they take care of their reviews and they have their sales process in place, right? And how they're going to follow up and they treat customers well, right? When they do all of those things, those companies grow. And so we launched this lead package and we talked to business owners, and I talk to business owners all the time. And in their voice, it's like leads, money, deals now. And they are missing the long-term growth of their company, right? Because they're basically saying, I don't care about my customers. I just want a bunch of leads. Just give me a bunch of leads and we're going to sell them to death. We're going to bombard them with everything. We're going to beat them up. And usually I'll scroll over, I'll look at their reviews. The reviews are bad because the business owner only cares about revenues, leads, those things. When I ask them about their unique selling points and why they're better, how they're different, how do they separate themselves, they don't have strong unique selling points. It's like, we're nice, we're good, we're family owned and operated, and nobody cares. And I'm going to tell you, in the future, right, if as AI evolves and can do all this stuff, what's going to make the biggest difference in lead gen and companies that are winning is going to be the human difference, because people want to do business with people, not AI. They want whoever's working for them at their house and doing that project is not going to be a bot. It's going to be a person with skills and somebody who cares in their heart. And so what I see is this, and let me just give you an example. There's a guy out there who is selling AI agencies, right? How to build an AI agency. And what I think I've read something like he sold, 3,000 or 30,000 units or trainings. So there's 30,000 people out there selling AI and meta ads leads, right? I imagine this, right? With follow-up. And AI is good. We're going to talk about, you need this, but there's a spot for it. But when a business owner is like, I don't care about my website, I don't care about my reviews, I don't care about all of this, just give me leads. What I see is there's a sustainability problem in this. But when a business owner cares about their customers, when a business owner does think through their unique selling points, when a business owner is willing to get on camera and talk about, hey, here's why you should consider working with us, And they put all this together, and we put this on a site, and we show before and afters. I mean, that's when it converts. Those are the ads we use on Meta that convert. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you're go back and listen to the first 12 episodes of this podcast and read our book about unique selling points and platforms and offers and measure and leverage the marketing arsenal and automation. If the business owner shows the reviews, cares about them, you're going to convert a lot more leads. And so how do I talk to somebody about lead generation when they're only thinking about, like leads, right? You've missed the whole psychology of selling. And you're like, Matt, can I just use AI videos? All right. Can I have someone else do the videos? I don't care about all that stuff, Matt. I just want to get leads. You're missing the whole ecosystem and psychology of why people buy. And so you're driving people to a stale landing page that has no heart, no personality, and people will come and leave because there's no reason for them to give you their information because you're just like everyone else. You can get a ton of leads as well by using form fills, and you can get leads by, getting traffic to your site, but you don't need leads. You need conversions and you need revenues. You need return on ad spend. And to get that, you have to be prepared. And that means what your packages you're offering, and that is communicated on that landing page. You make it easy for them to give their information to you, right? To fill out that form. You make it easy for them to schedule. And when you show up with your printed sales material in hand, your presentation folder, right? If you're selling a high ticket item, if it's just a quick service, it's different, but like you're not high pressure, but you're confident. And so go back and listen to some of these sales trainings that we just put out. I think you'll find that helpful and learn more. So this is what I've seen with our clients with our latest release based on ads and landing pages. And again, you take it for what it's worth, right? I'm just telling you what I see with multiple clients, right? Over years of selling myself and marketing, you take it for what it's worth. Like Google Ads, LSA, Meta, and all of these other channels, right? Remember, for most clients we've met with for 1 to 2 days or more to plan out their marketing. We've gone through their USPs, right? We build out these killer websites to convert, right? They're coming to the meetings, on sales meetings, with marketing folders, business cards, USPs, reviews, all of this in a leave behind folder. We build them a review system so that they generate more leads. We usually don't even take on clients that have bad reviews unless they've acquired the company or something like that. So all of this, when you put this package together, we see the marketing work, right? We see as they get healthy, they start to grow because healthy things grow. Those leads, because they have a system and a CRM, which I'll talk about in our next episode, and they have all of this process together, the leads convert into customers. And then as they follow up with customers, they get referrals and their referral programs. And so the return on ad spend is really, really strong. But again, we decided to test a pure lead generation campaign out on a few prospects. And so we've taken on these and said, hey, we'll help you generate leads. And I'm telling you what's all in that package. And yes, they've generated leads already. And there's some that are going to launch this week. But I can already tell who is going to be successful and who isn't, right? I can already see success in some and who isn't. And it goes again back to that heart of the business owner, right? The leads, the ads have to be set up the right way, right? But they have to be set up technically correct, right? Which we do. The landing pages is what makes the difference. The sales side of the person going out makes the difference. Ads are commoditized, right? Ads is like setting it up technically, right? The right way, using the right words. And a lot of times Google overwrites that, Meta overwrites that to reach the customer that you want to reach. What the difference is what the video says in Meta. The difference is what the guarantees are that the business owner gives to the prospect, the video. It's the human's difference that is making the biggest difference in these landing pages. And I shake my head almost because I've never seen it more clear how the lead generation campaign, and you, I know you're probably saying like, man, I don't want to be on video, right? I don't want to do this. So sometimes Jeff will do a video. That video, he'll do a video for a client. It will crush way better, right? On our clients' websites, we do a little talking head video. It's not AI, it's an actual actor, and that actor will share all the reasons why we are different. It's a USP video. It welcomes them. Welcome to our website, and we'll say that little video, that little talking head video. We see in previous tests, we saw like a 2x more leads generated because of that single video, and it's the human element. So even if it's not you, you ought to know your USPs, you ought to know your passion, and you got to get that video made about how we're different, right? It's this whole story brand. This is our story. This is who we are. This is who we work with. And it's easy to get caught up in the technical weeds. It's easy to do that, but you have to have a system in place, and the system has to be heartfelt by the owner, good reviews, good sales, and all of that. Now, you haven't heard the rest of the system. You've only heard, good ads, and you've heard good landing pages, and you've heard me say that the business owner has to be connected to this. But in the next episode, I'm going to go through the rest of the system. But so far, we've talked about these landing pages and the videos on the homepage and tight ad campaigns and the right settings and all of that. That has to be dialed in. But in the next episode, I'm going to talk to you about automation. And yes, you should use automation. Yes, you should use AI. Yes, you should use calendar systems. And we're going to talk about that in the next episode. And then I'm going to also talk to you about how to measure your marketing in a CRM to do this. So a lead generation campaign will work. And then I'm going to talk to you about, if I were in your situation, what I would focus on to generate more leads for your company, but not just generate more leads, how to convert more. And my prediction, again, is that in the future, because of the AI commoditizing and AI videos and things like that, for a season, maybe a business could use that and get a little bit further ahead. And I'm all for using AI, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But the business owners that are going to see success have the human element, that really care about their customers and really care about standing out from the competition. Right now, there's a lot of roll-ups happening where big institutional companies are spending a lot of money and they're buying all these companies, and that's happening, right? But what I see is sometimes even after acquisition happens, the old owner's not there. The company falters because that visionary, that heart person, that person that built something from the ground up, when they are gone, the companies struggle. And so these big roll-up companies are going to buy. They're going to have to spend a lot of money on ads. They're going to charge. And my predict is a lot of those are going to fail, right? Because it's the small entrepreneur that really cares about the business owner, that really cares about the customer, that is going to win. And so what I see and I'm just telling you, the companies that we work with that are crushing, the business owner gets this. They got to connect. They get their reviews matter. They got to stand out. They got to have good USPs. They've got sales processes in place that crush. And so you generate a ton of leads, but you lack those things, your campaign's going to struggle. And so with all of these things in place, my prediction is that with even some new clients, they're going to grow and some are not. And I think you're going to be surprised at what I say about what you should do in our next episode. With that said, I hope you find this helpful as we give you the blueprint for lead generation, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today. We hope you found today's episode helpful and informative. For more information about Grow Inc. and to request our free marketing blueprint ebook and other resources, please visit www.grow.inc. That's GRO.inc. We'll catch you in the next episode.
built it all from nothing. Late nights, inbox buzzing, every call, every quote, but the numbers never float. You're spinning plates and praying, bills stack, phones keep ringing. You're asking, what's this for, if I'm stuck on the same old floor? Grow with Grow Inc. Make the hard stuff simple, turn the uphill scramble to a clear straight line. Grow with Grow Inc. Watch the fog start thinning. You've been working so long, now it's finally your time. It's your time. Tried the guru systems, big talk, missing vision. Promised gold got gravel as the months unraveled. We mapped the path that fit